Get better against spin bowling and fast. That is the message from Australian cricket captain Ricky Ponting after watching his middle order collapse against India's spinners in a practice game versus India. After losing 9 wickets for just 58 runs, Ponting says he would like to see the younger guys learn a little bit about starting in tough conditions. Yeah, that middle order could no doubt use the services of injured batsman Mike Hussey, who, by the way, has been handed the Cricinfo 2020 award for best innings overall after his 60 in the World 2020 semis, which some label the greatest 2020 knock of all time. Other winners on your screen there with more on the World Cup. Here's the PTI team.
Yes, Ty, there's no doubt about it. The Aussies will miss Michael Hussey, but I reckon the biggest talking point, and you might be agreeing or disagreeing, Sam Kekovich, is going to be more about the tournament itself. Does it still have the lustre? I mean, we're talking 2020 every 5 minutes. In Australia, Test cricket's still #1 and one-day cricket's on the slide. In New Zealand, Test cricket's on the slide. What do you think about the one-day World Cup?
I think it's a fantastic concept, and I think it'll be reinvigorated. And I think the great thing about Australia is the fact that all of a sudden we've been exposed to a little bit of the fragility. We're no longer the dominant bear in the paddock, so to speak, and all of a sudden I think every Australian cricketing fan is waiting with bated breath to see how we do perform in the subcontinent.
Well, I think also the rest of the world is probably looking for Australia to get beaten.
Well, exactly.
And I reckon they will. I think the dark horses
they're all lining up behind
dark horses for me are New Zealand, because New Zealand had a terrible, terrible last 6 months.
And England can bounce
but
back
they'll
very
turn
strongly.
it around. England, I think, agree. Sure, you've got India and Sri Lanka, to a lesser extent Pakistan.
But they're certainly queuing up, because Australia being a dominant country for about over a decade. Yeah. And they want us to fall, and how we react and respond, I think, will ensure that the interest will be maintained.
There's no doubt about that. The World Cup has got absolute World Cup exposure, world exposure, I should say.
Oh, no doubt.
May not be a little bit on the radar in Australia, to a lesser extent in New Zealand, but in the rest of the world,
it's huge.
This is one of the biggest events of the year, no doubt about that. My prediction, I'm tipping England and New Zealand to be in the final. What about you?
I think Sri Lanka can win, but I don't think the Aussies will be disgraced.